Hello. So as you're working on your research helpers, I just want to keep in mind some really important aspects. Um, Writing an essay is not easy. Unfortunately, there are also no shortcuts. So I just want to prevent you from trying out these shortcuts before handing in your first draft or your research helpers. So it does take a lot of time and a lot of concentration to write a good essay. And one of the main aspects is actually taking good notes and completing an appropriate research helper. So we're going to go through some top tips and reminders, not just about the research helper, but expectations around the essay as well. So I just want to remind you about plagiarism. I know we've talked about this many times and you're probably going, oh, Fiona, we know everything to do. Unfortunately, I've recently had work handed in from level 2 and level 3 that have actually had severe levels of plagiarism in it. And unfortunately, that means that I wasn't able to accept the work. I just have to give it back straight away and I won't be able to mark it. Now, I don't want this to happen to any of you. So let's make sure that we understand A, what plagiarism is, and B, how to not do it, how to avoid doing it. So I know some of you are working on fast food in China, so here's a little article that I found. Now I'm reading this article, I think, wow, some of these sentences are really, really good and really, really appropriate for my essay. And do you know what? It's written really well as well. I'll never be able to write it as well as this. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to copy all of it, but just a couple of sentences. I'm going to grab that sentence and grab that sentence. I'm going to copy them and I'm going to pop it over into my essay. Okay, so we've got this really great sentence and this one too. So my essay is going to be fantastic. I've done great research and I've found great information. Wrong. This is plagiarism, okay? It has not been written in your own words. You've copied from someone else and you've basically pretended that that work is your work. You're saying that I wrote this, this is my words and my sentences and my information. So what you've actually done is you have stolen information, okay? So we can't do that. The second thing is that some people might think, well, what if I take the end of the sentence and put that at the beginning and put the beginning of the sentence at the end? I've restructured the sentence. So now it's paraphrased. So now I haven't plagiarized. Wrong again. That is still plagiarizing. Okay, so big problem. So copying information and pretending it's your own, copying full sentences or even part of sentences, pretending it's your own, is plagiarism. I will not accept it. It will have a negative effect on your score. So what should we do? We need to take notes. Now remember, we talked about the research helper late last week. So I'm just going to reiterate that information. So you're going to take your notes. So you can see here that I've highlighted particular areas that I think are the most interesting or most important to my essay. Then I'm going to align my notes with the questions that they could answer. And that's going to help me later when I write my detailed plan. And it's going to help me later when I write my whole essay. I'm only going to write the necessary words. So 1,000 years ago, lifestyle changing. America, FF, coffee. Familiar taste. Know what to expect. Okay, so I'm not going to take full sentences. I'm just going to write down those particular areas. However, if I found a quote I really like, then I'll write that down, but I'll include quotation marks so I can remember to put that in my essay. Okay, but again, only take the necessary words and put them into your research helper. This is the same example I gave you last week. This is Summer's research helper, and you can see very beautifully that she's used short, partial sentences. So she's drugs become popular in China. And then she'll turn those into her own full sentences. So this prevents plagiarism. She doesn't have the article in front of her. She's put the articles away. She has all of the information, the main ideas that she has in these dot points here, and she's got who wrote or said the information across here, okay? So this is a really good example of what you want it to look like. Again, no full sentences, nothing has been copied. She's taken the main idea and just popped those words into her note area. And then what you would do is take those notes into words. Now I'm using from this article again, just to let you know. So in this article, so I've got this is part of my research helper. So what questions can be answered, and then I've written my notes in my words. So first of all, put the article away. When you're writing your essay, do not refer to the article. The only reason that you don't want to do that is it will just encourage you to plagiarize. Instead, if you've written really great notes, you don't need the article. Then you're going to turn your question and your notes into a sentence. Nice and easy. The fast food restaurant was established over 1,000 years ago. So I said, when was the first FF opened in China? FF being fast food. And I've written here 1,000 years, okay? So I've created my own sentence. I'm going to double check though. Let's have a look what it said originally. So it said fast food is not new to China. A fast food restaurant was opened some 1,000 years ago in China and still serves customers to this day. So my two sentences are different, which means that I have not plagiarized. You can see that I've done the same with how much money is in fast food industry, 48 billion. The fast food industry is estimated to be worth 48 billion USD, okay? With these 2 points, I've decided I'm not going to use them as quotes, and I'm going to put them into one full sentence. So I'm compounding this sentence. So fast food is becoming more popular in China because their busy lifestyle may lead to less time to cook at home, okay? And again, I've not plagiarized, I've taken the main ideas and I've written them in my own sentences. And if you want to just double check, if you're not sure, you can always go back to the article and just double check that the sentences don't mirror each other, okay? That the sentences are not exactly the same. I will find out plagiarism. I do often copy and paste people's text. So I will copy it from your essay and I will paste it into Google. And then Google will come up with articles that have those same sentences, okay? We do have programs, so teachers in universities have programs that we can actually put the documents, put your essays through, and they'll come up with whether anything has been plagiarized. So if you think that you're going to do that, don't. It's just a waste of your time. As I said, I've had lots of people in level 2 and level 3 who have had to actually redo their entire first draft because they thought they would be very, very cheeky and thought teacher would not find out. Okay, so this is your first and last warning not to even try. Now, the second warning, do not use a translator. Do not use a translator for words and do not use a translator for sentences. I'm going to give you an example from one of the students in level 2 that actually handed an essay. Now this is actually a really good student usually, but this person has used a translator. I'm going to read you a sentence and I'd like you to think if it makes any sense. It is the unfair arrangement of positions and positions, the separation of the relatives, the distance, the near, the emphasis on the affection of the relatives, the importance of the ability, and the ability factor is often not included in the assessment index. This sentence makes no sense. And the reason it doesn't is that sometimes in the Chinese language, you might have a word or a character for something that's very similar. But when the translator is trying to convert it into English, it thinks the same word means both things in English. So in this example, this person's written something about positions, and the translator has decided positions and positions, these two different words, are in fact the same word. It's really, really easy to see when you've used a translator. Most of the time, the translators will come up with a word that is not correct in English. We just don't have the technology. Chinese and English are very, very different languages. So when you're writing an essay for English, you should use an English to English dictionary, or you should be using a thesaurus. So I consider using a translator the same as plagiarism. I consider it cheating. Your essay will be handed back to you and it will not be marked. You will then need to rewrite that essay without any plagiarism or any use of a translator. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. So the essay requirements, it must be research-based. So it must be based on research you've conducted and include, I've got written in-text referencing, but I mean reference, so you need to make sure that you refer to the items that you've researched. So if you're quoting someone or you're talking from a direct article, that you refer to that article. For instance, according to the World Health Organization, according to the Chinese government, Article 395 says The essay must be in a logical order. So remember that one paragraph has one main idea. You need to make sure the sequence makes sense, as we discussed last week, that you've got your introduction, followed by context and definitions, followed by main point 1, main point 2, and a conclusion. Breakdown of the criteria. So at the moment, you're working on your research and reference list, or really your research, okay? So here, a really simple way to get a 5 is to do excellent research, to make sure your note-taking is up to scratch and that you've got at least 5 different academic references or research items. Your reference list, we're going to talk about that in greater detail just in a moment. You just need to make sure that you're using the correct format. So that's an easy way you can get a 4 or a 5 by just doing these great pre-assessment items, okay? So pre-essay items. Next, we're going to be working on our detailed plan, okay? So you've just done your general, so we call it a planning before planning, or a pre-plan. And then once you've completed your research helper, we're then going to create a detailed essay plan. And again, if you create a really great detailed essay plan, quite easily get a 5. I mean, that means your score goes up 10 already before you've even written your first draft, okay? So these 2 items is what we're working on right now. So the harder you work, the easier that you've already got 10 points right there. Now, essay formatting, I'll go into this in greater detail, but I have actually given you an example of the essay format. So you can see that we've got a title page. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly like this. Different people use different types, and you'll be able to find lots of those in the Microsoft Word program. You can see here that we've got what unit we're studying. Here will be an essay title, your name, the due date, and the word count, okay? The word count does not include your references. To the right, we can see here that we've got the unit, the name. Don't need to worry about student ID. If you want to put it in, absolutely up to you. You can see here on the right hand side that's all nicely aligned, so you see how neat that looks, and there's a big space between different paragraphs. So formatting is really important. It adds to a professional look and can influence sort of final marks. Reference sheet is really, really important. I don't know why this hasn't saved correctly. So it should be a minimum of 5 references from 5 different academic sources, not 7, but 5 from 5 different academic sources, and you need to use the correct format. Another cheeky thing that some students do is they'll just jump on the internet, try and grab some general websites and put this together, thinking that the teacher is not going to click on this link and double check that that website is actually correct, that it exists, and that's relevant to the topic. So again, that's another little cheat that you really shouldn't try. It's just going to be a waste of your time and a waste of my time. So if we just do it right the first time, we don't have to worry about it later. So let's go through. So the reference sheet should be on a separate sheet to your essay, okay? So it needs to have a page all by itself. And you can see this is an example of it. So we've got surname, comma, T, full stop. Bracket, this is the publication date. So the date that it was actually published. Close bracket, comma, and then we've got quotation marks, and this is the title of the article. And then we'll close the quotation marks, online, just to make sure it's an online source. If you are using journals or books, there is a different referencing format that we use. Please let me know and I'd be happy to go through that with you. However, I do believe that you're probably all going to be using online sources at this point. We've got a full stop, available from, and then the website and access. So this is the day that you had a look at that particular reference. I've got two other examples over here. So this actually comes from GAC guidelines. So it gives you exactly what you need to do. Really easy thing. If you've got 5 great references from 5 academic sources and you've written it in this particular format and you've completed a good research helper, you'll get a 5. Fantastic, easy as pie. You just have to do the work and you'll get the right marks. Let's have a look at due dates now. I would take a note of these. You've got your sheet in front of you. So the research helper is due on the 3rd. I've spelled research incorrect. I apologise about that. I was typing too fast. So the research helper is due on June 3rd. Detailed plan, I'll discuss how we do that, but it's going to be on June 9th. The first essay draft, June 23rd, and then the second essay draft will be July the 2nd, okay? So we're going to take, as I said, we'll go through this process nice and slowly to make sure that you're getting the top mark possible. Penalties. So we're not children anymore. You can't just hand in things when you want to, and unfortunately I've had a lot of students that are just not handing their work in on time. Because of that, I have decided that we're going to have some penalties. That means if you are late, you'll be penalised or you'll lose marks. It happens at university. You really need to manage your time efficiently. Myself and all of the other teachers give you ample time to complete everything that is provided to you. So it's up to you to make use of that time. So if you're wasting your time playing games, sleeping, going out to movies or what have you when you've got homework, that's not really the teacher's problem. You've decided not to do the right thing. So if it is 1 day late, you're going to lose 1 more mark. If the item is 2 days late, you'll lose 2 more marks. Okay, so that's 3 marks. So if it's 2 days late, in total you'll lose 3 marks. And then if it's over 2 days late, you're going to lose 10 marks. Okay, so 10 marks, which is pretty extreme. So over 2 days, you're going to lose 10 marks from your overall score. So make sure, again, that you're using your time appropriately. Don't leave everything to the last minute. There's no way that you're going to do a good essay or any good work if you leave it just to the last day and you do it in a rush. Remember, these are skills that we're all trying to teach you so that you can be successful out there in the real world. All right, so just again, no plagiarism and no translators. Let's make sure no plagiarism and no translators. As usual, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me on WeChat. Otherwise, I will see you in the next class.